Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies YouTube channel. It's our first fan interview of the season and it could not have started off in a worse way. We're joined by football writer and Hamilton fan Lewis. Lewis, I suppose first of all, the lineup when it was released, what was your initial thoughts?
To be honest, one major thing that stood out to me, I'll talk about the elephant in the room first, kind of the Ron Hughes thing. Even though I didn't want him to start, I thought he was going to start, because he scored against Rangers, and it looked like he was kind of playing a lot in pre-season. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, and I'm sure that'll kind of get him far, but I'm not a massive fan of him. But he started. I wasn't surprised by it. Main surprise was Andy Winter starting, and he played well. He played well. He had a really good first half. Second half petered off, but so did everyone. We'll talk about it in a minute. But I just think, as much as he did play well, I would have definitely preferred Ogdenpo starting up front. Yeah. He showed, when he came on 60 minutes or 40 minutes in, Ogdenpo just kind of really had an effect. And I think if he played the whole game, especially when we had those chances in the first 20 minutes, we could have maybe got another goal. I don't think we would have won, but I think we could have given it just a bit more of a goal, even though we played quite well. Andy Winter was the one that kind of stood out to me. Although he played well, and I was saying just before it started, it kind of says a lot of how he's going to be involved this season. It seems as if he is going to be a first-team player, which is good. Chuck him in. I think he's a good player. But he played a lot better today than he did against Rangers last season and in the Cup. He looked shell-shocked last season, but he played well. He played well today. But that was the only kind of standing out omission. The rest I was quite happy with. I was happy that Odoffin started. I thought he was in the bench instead of McKenna, but Odoffin played quite well as well.
Yeah, Odoffin, I didn't think had a terrible game. It's big shoes to fill with Adam McGowan, obviously. It's only his first game in. We'll wait and kind of hold judgment, I think, on Odoffin for the moment. The overall performance, you were saying that it's Celtic. You don't want to go there pessimistic, but you do go there kind of feeding the worst. What did you make of the overall performance in the game?
I thought largely, I know it's kind of dumb to say because we lost 5-1, but considering obviously they had a lot of the ball, but who'd only have a lot of the ball against? I've not seen one team bar, even in the Old Firm match, they have a lot of the ball. But I don't think they got loads of, as much as they scored 5 times, which obviously sounds stupid when you say it out loud. I wouldn't say out with that, except for maybe the Julian one where it kind of just bounced across the goal quite into the game. I wouldn't have a lot of opportunities where they were like, oh, they should have scored that.
Yeah.
Oh, they definitely should have scored that. Yeah, they had lots of good crosses in the ball, in the box, and some good corners. Were terrible corners. But I think generally we've limited them quite well. A couple of individual mistakes for the goals, but I think we kept our shape really well through a lot of the games. See, when they kind of had us pinned us back, we weren't all just kind of sitting in the box. We kind of spread out a little bit, but we kept them at bay quite a lot. Yeah, they spread it about well, like they're always going to do, but I honestly don't think too many times we got absolutely ripped open and it wasn't like, oh, they should have scored 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. I think the 5 goals they scored, but I don't think they, and again, it's rare to say against Celtic, but again, I don't think we played that bad. We created a couple of opportunities, and to be honest, Moyo probably should have scored one. The header early on, I think he was almost a bit surprised that it came to him because Odoffin put in such a good cross into the front post, and Ogdenpo probably could have scored one from a corner. But overall performance, I don't think we played that bad. I was quite scared going into the game that not just like the scoreline, but the performance, we would just be played off the park. But we really weren't. What were we expecting today? For us to go and absolutely dominate the ball and everything? No. Did we hold them back quite well? Yeah. One guy I'd say who had, I don't want to rip him because he has 18 and he looked like an 18-year-old today when he didn't do that a lot of times last season. First game of the season was Jamie Hamilton.
Yeah.
He just wasn't at it today. He's 18 years old, so I'm not going to rip him too much, but he's taken the number 6 shirt. He's, Brian Rice said he's going to be one of the first choice centre-halves this season, which is fair, but he definitely didn't show that this season. He was at fault for the Klamala goal. Should have tracked him a lot better. He was also at fault, I can't remember which one specifically, but one of the Edward, maybe even 2 of the Edward goals, he was kind of just standing sitting. Honestly, 60 minutes in, I was like, oh, Hamilton's playing. Okay.
Yeah.
He was kind of just getting panned round, which is a shame because he did have some good performances last season, but it was a tough match, so I'm not going to be too rough on him. But for instance, his counterpart, one played really well. First half, he was outstanding, I think, for a lot of times, tracked his man a lot of the time, put in some really good tackles. It was just a shame that Hamilton wasn't there. If Easton was there, I think we might have, I don't know, again, it's stupid, but it might be 3-1, something like that. I just think he kind of let us down. He was a bit disappointing. And when you see someone like Andy Winter, who's his age and has a lot less experience than him, it was just a bit disappointing. Other than that, I thought there were a lot of solid performances. Odoffin I really liked. Fulton looked okay. Callahan looks really good. He looks really good on the ball. He wasn't scared to kind of take it and just kind of push us forward, which is what you'd expect from someone with that experience. And Martin was good as well, not just because he scored like a sloppy goal. He was solid. He was pretty solid. Overall, I think we played well. On Moyo ran his heart out today.
Yeah,
played so well. He didn't get a lot of service in that, but what he did, he kept the ball up. He played other people in. A lot of the chances that we did have kind of came from him holding it in some way. And I think if him and Ogdenpo had more time up front, they probably would have got another goal. Ogdenpo had a lot of tough chances towards the end of the game, where it was just him and like 4 guys around him, so I'm not that worried. But overall, I'm actually quite happy for it being 5-1. I'm not too bothered.
I'm also joined by another fan, Thomas. Thomas, what were your initial thoughts of the lineup when it was announced?
The lineup initially, I thought Ogbo would have been a better option up front. I didn't think Moyo was my best option. Maybe going both together would have been good, but if you're going to play one, Ogbo would certainly be the one we'd have I looked for.
Yep.
I know we were missing a few players. I don't know what initially was going to be. What was going to be my best option in defence. We're all missed a few guys today, obviously. I think the back four wasn't the worst choice we could have went with. I'm going to be honest, considering the guys we were missing.
Yep.
It was always going to be a tough task for them. Ronnie Hughes at left mid. What was it the right game for him?
Yeah.
You've got to be honest. It was always going to be a tough task. You've Forrest on that right wing.
That's probably a nice
it's
way
a
of
tough
putting
task
it.
For anyone in Scottish football.
Yeah. I think that's a nice way of putting it. I think Ronnie Hughes had a shocker today.
He did.
I mean, like you said, it's going to be tough coming up against James Forrest for anybody in the league. It really is. But I mean, 2 of the goals were coming from him not tracking. He offered no cover to Scott McMahon, in my opinion. So he would stand out for me, but not for a good reason.
Yeah, definitely.
What were your thoughts of the overall performance? Obviously, we get beat 5-1, which isn't a very glamorous scoreline, but what were your thoughts of how we played?
I'd break it down into 2 halves, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
First half, I thought we'd done all right. We mixed it with them. But I don't know, was the team talk no work at half time and we came out with a bit of motivation, think we've done it too well.
Uh-huh.
Second half, we completely fell apart. The first half, we had 2 players that, unfortunately, I'd say let us side down a wee bit in the first half. But like I say, we done all right. Second half, we were just, I don't know, we were looking up at the bright lights. But again, Celtic will put 5 past a lot of teams in this league this season.
Yeah.
I'm not too downhearted by that. Yeah. If we can play that way, it's not a one-off where we've lifted our game because it's Celtic. If we can lift that for your St Mirren's, your Ross Counties, your Dundee Uniteds, your Hibs, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have too much fear then.
Yeah, and how was it for you guys sitting at home, obviously not being able to be at any games right now? How was it watching it on the telly?
Oh, what would you think, listen?
Pies.
Pies, that's fair enough, mate. I think we all do.
Real football's not back yet. Anybody that says that's football backs after Heat.
Yeah.
Real football, hopefully, will be back next month.
Smashing, I hope so, man. There are some fan thoughts from today's game. Just to run over a few things, I think the lineup was poor when it came out. The inclusion of people like Ronan Hughes and Andy Winter surprised me. Andy Winter actually performed better than I thought he was going to. Ronan Hughes came off before halftime with an injury. Deservedly so. I just want to read out some of the points that fans have messaged me about. Actually, obviously, we just heard some fan opinions there. One fan said Hughes was a strange one to start. Don't know why Trafford didn't. Was curious about Winter starting, but thought he played well in the first half. Was always going to be tough for him. Sometimes isolated up front. First game of the season, you might as well go for it during the current situations, but the squad depth is worrying. More signings need to be made, I think, but we're not expected to beat Celtic. Let's see how they perform next week against a possible relegation team, and I have to absolutely agree. This is not the kind of team you want to judge Hamilton on. Celtic will beat many teams this season by 4 or 5 goals. It's a horrible place to start because people again will look at that result and we got battered, but I don't think our performance was as poor. I don't think our performance was as poor as maybe the scoreline reads. And this fan here is absolutely right. Next week we play Ross County. That's a game that I will judge the team on. If we lose that game and are unconvincing, that's a worry. He also said Fulton, I thought, played well with some good saves. However, no one was at the races, second to every ball. The new signings I don't think you can judge yet, as it's their first game. Give them time to settle in and then have an opinion. Again, it comes back to the point that we need more quality players. Let's see how we go next week. Ross County, they seem to have signed some good players, but let's see how Accies face up to them. And again, I absolutely agree. Odolphin, one of the fans mentioned that they played well. I think he did as well. I don't think he was a huge bomb scare, to be honest, going down that right side. Callahan looked strong in the middle, happy with that. Again, surprised we didn't see Trafford start, but he did come on in the second half. It's again a case of let's judge them against Ross County. If I had to pick a man of the match, I think I would pick Fulton. He kept the scoreline down. Let's be honest, it could have been more. He pulled off some good saves. Not a strong performance from anybody really in the team, but I'll give it to Ryan Fulton. And that's the first video back since the season began. As a horrible, tough start for Hamilton, but hopefully one we'll put behind us swiftly, and we'll move on to Ross County next week. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit subscribe down below. Check out the 12th Man on Twitter and their website, which again I will leave linked in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.